And now, coming to you from the Conductor Chaos Studios, the Gamer Couch Podcast. YouTube, Twitch, Facebook Gaming. We cover it all. The newest and latest in gamer streaming. From the newest streamers to the big timers. What makes them click? How did they get started? What games do they play? What do they play on? We're going to cover it all.
It's all about humanity.
On this episode of the Gamers Couch Podcast.
Gamers, get ready for an epic episode. We have a truly outstanding guest with us today, none other than the legendary Jason BitBender Brink, president of Gala Games. I'm your host, Conductor Chaos, and as always, my lovely co-host Fulio is joined with us today. And if you're a gamer and interested in what the future holds in the space, then you need to listen up. Jason is a trailblazer in the world of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency and has been a leading force in the industry for nearly a decade. But that's not all. He's also a prize-winning visionary, having won the prestigious Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Global Development Network Prize for his revolutionary $8 blockchain solution. Jason is at the cutting edge of this exciting technology, and we can't wait to hear his insights and perspectives on how blockchain is revolutionizing the gaming, film, and music industries over at Gala Games.
I think it's time for another one. What? Man, this stash box is off the chain. Another bonus? I know you're gonna dig this. Yeah. Well, all right now. Clap to that. Yeah. Gala Games. Death Row Records.
BitBender, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah, very humbled you took your time out of your day to come on. You guys are a big company. We're a small podcast, so it says a lot about your company just being open with the community, and we really appreciate you being here.
This is what I do, man. I'm happy to be here, hanging out and chatting with everybody.
And I got my co-host with me, Fulio Games. She's a streamer active on Twitch. Fulio, what's your schedule like over there?
Oh my gosh. Well, I just had a big return because I took quite a bit of a hiatus, but I think about 3 times a week right now to get back in the groove because there's a lot of offline content that is obviously made to get that online content out there.
And normally what we do was we go into streamers past, figure out how they got into gaming. So how did you get started in gaming there?
Sure, man. Well, for me, I didn't start out as like a gamer in my early life. I grew up with a weirdly conservative family that didn't permit a lot of games or electronics or even a TV. Like I had the entire time I was growing up, the TV was a little TV with a handle that we kept in the hallway closet that we would drag out and plug in and adjust the rabbit ears if there was some momentous occasion. But typically speaking, did not have access to that. So I would play like Nintendo at my buddies next door, and I would watch my grandfather play games occasionally on his computer. But that was my first introduction to gaming was essentially laying on the floor of the office in my grandfather's house, watching him play his early DOS based games and things like that. It's kind of cool. But anyway, so I didn't have a lot of gaming exposure as a kid. One of the kids next door had an original Nintendo, and I used to love to play Zelda and stuff like that. But my early life gaming history is not as glorious as a lot of people's. Once I got into my mid teens, though, I really dug in heavily on PC gaming and got really deeply involved in a lot of different games. Absolutely loved to play anything that was strategy related, anything that was first person shooter. And then once MMORPGs became a thing, I played EverQuest. I played, City of Heroes way back in the day. World of Warcraft, obviously. I was in I want to say the it's like the alpha or beta for that. I was in
The early top down
very,
looking one.
very, very early,
Yeah, I love
early
that game.
time. So like that was, I guess, my introduction to gaming. And for me, gaming is a really interesting thing because I see it as an art form. The creation of games, the creation of alternate realities, the creation of immersive experiences as being very fundamentally art. And I think it's something that for the longest period of time has not been appreciated as such. But I think that in the future, immersive experiences will become more classed as art, and I think you'll have some of these that end up quite enduring simply because of the experience that you get going through them.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of like similar to my not similar to my background, but I like started back on a DOS computer where you had to put a disk in it to get it to boot up, and I think it had like,
Yep,
I don't know,
good
the games
times,
I was
right?
playing were all, yeah, I was on a monochrome monitor. There's no color. Like playing
Yep,
Yahtzee was like little weird symbols, and yeah, so
Yahtzee,
kind of the
Dig
same thing.
Dug, Where in the World is Carmen San Diego,
Yeah,
King's
I actually brought that
Quest.
up in the.
Casey,
Are you
there's one
referencing
called.
my comment in the Discord today
I
with
didn't.
Crypto Stash's profile? Yeah, I said, man, they should spin off a game with BitBender. As where in the world is BitBender
Oh,
Brink?
dude, that would be
Based,
that would be fun. I could
yeah,
just take pictures of food and make people guess, based on whatever I'm eating. It'd be good times.
yeah. Well, I was thinking, I was like, like to get people to understand Gala, and like, because I think remember back playing when that game, it was like you had to answer questions like geographical questions and things like
Yep,
that, and you
yep.
could be like, you could answer questions like things about Townstar. You're like, oh, Bitbender's in Townstar, or Bitbender's in Spider Tanks. That'd be
I
kind of
dig it.
cool. So you mentioned NSA. I actually worked for NSA while I was in the military. I was in the military for 12 years, so 6 years of my career I spent
Oh, there you
with
go.
affiliation with NSA. So that would have been kind of interesting to see some of those computers they used back then.
He never.
'Cause-
It was for me growing up was fascinating because all of his friends were people in early computing, and in um, early computing was synonymous with the military industrial complex, um, because that's just what funded the development. And he had this cabin up in the mountains that we would all go hang out at, and it would be really funny because everybody who's there has done all sorts of interesting things, but they can't talk about any of it. And so they would
yeah.
have these stories that they would tell, and then they would get to the point in time where they'd tell like 80% of the story, and then they couldn't tell the other 20%, and then it would just get really quiet. And then somebody else would start another 80% story, and they'd get to the 80% part, and then it'd get really quiet again. And then we'd all be like sitting on the back porch of the cabin watching the San Joaquin Valley go by, telling these 80% stories. And as a kid, it drove me freaking nuts because I'm like, I just want to hear the end of the story. What were you building? What happened? Oh yeah, well, we don't really talk about that sort of stuff. But you can't do it. You can't. It's terrible. Very frustrating.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about because I'd run into somebody and we'd be in an unclassified setting and we would start something, and then we would just look at each other and go, I know what you're going to say. Like we
Yeah.
knew the other 20%, like, but you
Yeah.
just wouldn't say anything.
You
Yeah,
just
I know
wouldn't say
exactly what
anything.
you're
And
talking about.
so I have no special knowledge whatsoever. Um, but I have 80% cool stories that I do know.
But I can say the other 20%, if you did know it, you'd be like, oh, you'd be kind of let down.
That's
Depending
quite
on what it
possible.
is.
Quite
Because
possible.
when I got in there, I was like, oh, this is cool, man. Like, I'm going to see some crazy stuff. Like, who killed Kennedy? Like, no, it's
Yeah,
nothing
no,
like at all. It's
No.
Is it
boring and
just
it's
all
work.
common sense stuff?
That's just
Yeah.
boring. It's like, man, this is really. I remember there was an intelligence asset that would fly somewhere in the world, and I would have to talk to this thing. And I'm in NSA, and I'm
Sure.
talking to this aircraft on a Windows 2000 computer in 2009 with a
Sweet.
Logitech boom mic, talking to the
Oh,
aircrew. Like,
the boom mic. Oh,
and,
nice.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm in the National Security Agency, and this is
You're
literally what I'm
fucking
talking
talking to
on
an
to talk to this.
AWAC on a boom mic. Nice.
Yeah, I was just like, man, this is wild. So it was just
Glorious.
stuff like that where people just would be like, that's what would blow your mind. Just like you're here and that's what you're talking on. Like that's
Well, I
wild.
mean, that's one of the things that I think is really fascinating is like you look at you know, aircraft, right? Aviation development. You know, all of us with our, advanced gaming rigs and liquid cooling and the best of the best graphics cards and all of this shit, right? Nobody would
Yeah.
ever get anywhere near putting that thing in anything that was like military that would need to actually function. So like anything, and this is one of the things that I did learn is that all of the stuff that is in our top of the line equipment is all like fucking old shit that is rock solid and stable and well understood and has all the bugs worked out, and they know line by line that there are no exploits in it. But they would never get this new shit anywhere near it, which is why you were on a damn 20-year-old Logitech boom mic.
Yeah. Well, I worked the first 6 years I did F-15 avionics. So on the F-15, the central computers ran on a 486
Yeah,
processor.
there you go. There you go.
And
Perfect.
and the capabilities that it have are just mind-boggling when you dig into like the capabilities of radar on that thing, like what it's
Yeah.
capable of doing. So when the F-22 came out and replaced part of our aircraft I was at Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida, but I didn't get to work on that one, so I have no idea what they have in that thing as far as computing power. But if in the
They
70
probably
early
worked up all the
70s,
way to a Pentium.
right? Yeah. So it's kind of wild. Like I don't know, but I'm sure there's other stuff. There was another computer system that did some other things, and I remember calling that guy, and he's like, "Oh, it's got like 96 processors and like
Well,
tons
yeah,
of
that's a
gigs of memory," and that
whole
was at
other thing.
NSA.
That's a whole other
Yeah.
thing.
So I suppose depending on what it's geared to or what it's doing is there's probably some stuff that was better than a Logitech boom mic. But
Sure.
all right. So getting into, I was kind of impressed by your the work with. I used to do a drop shipping business, and you did something. Did you? Was it with Haiti? Was there?
Yeah, so basically I did there's no drop shipping involved. It was just I did disaster relief work in
Right.
Haiti following the earthquake there in 2010. I had some buddies call me. I had previously traveled with them to Peru. Wonderful guy. He's an anesthesiologist, and he was putting a team together. And he's like, "Jason, do you want to go? You are generally speaking a useful person. We need them. Would you be interested?" So there was no official group going at that point in time because stuff was still pretty rough. And
Yeah.
anytime you like these official groups that are more like how do I put it, like we're going to go there and build a school and it's going to be great. Those types of groups tend not to go into places that are a little on the rough side because
Yeah.
their insurance won't let them. So this was just a bunch of us, like as individuals, working together to go try to help. So I spent a few weeks at a hospital in Port-au-Prince. I was the only hospital left standing after the earthquake, just doing whatever the hell people needed me to do, and helping the
Yeah.
doctors in any way I could. And that was kind of my introduction to the blockchain space a little bit, in that it helped me see some problems that I put forward some proposed solutions for later.
Yeah. The drop shipping thing was on my end. I had a drop shipping business, and somebody that was down in that area actually ordered a whole pallet of power cords from me, like thousands of power cords. Like I had
Thousands
them.
of power cords. There you go.
Yeah. So I
I
was
mean,
like, I was looking at the
people need them,
timeline. And I was
so
like, does this? Well, I was like, does this match up to when he was down there? And like, I was wondering if you saw a pallet of power cord show up.
No, no, I did. At that point in time, we needed things like gauze and
Yeah.
alcohol and you know, medical shit was the important thing, not so much power cords.
No, but then the $8 thing, and I really connected to your thought on, when people donate stuff, how do you get it to the actual people that actually need it?
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of cool. So
yeah, no, dude, it was crazy. I mean, you go there and it's like in the hospital, you have the hospital itself had like a perimeter wall. Okay, we had armed guards on the perimeter wall at all times. Um, and then inside there was this little mini tent city, and it was just for orphan kids, right? Everyone else had to live outside the hospital, and so you have all of these, orphans that are there, and their families are, all dead, unfortunately. Um, and you would see like these news reports, so and so donates, millions of dollars to Haiti, and then it's like you walk outside, and I saw like a single UN truck there at one point in time driving down the street. And it was so notable that I took a damn picture of it. And then some USAID tarps. I didn't see anything else. That was it. And, meanwhile, there's it was just before I left, like literally a week before the cholera epidemic kicked off in Port-au-Prince. But there's like people dying of starvation, and his mothers, giving birth to babies that, only lived for like 5 minutes because they didn't have any food. The mother hadn't had anything to eat for weeks. And it was just like, there's got to be a better way to do this. I mean, people have money to give. It's just not getting to where it's supposed to go.
that's sad, man. I'm kind of wondering, like, when those outbreaks and stuff break out, and we go do that aid, or a person goes and does that aid work and stuff, are they kind of protected because of the way we're vaccinated and are kind of up on
No,
that stuff, or
dude, I
or
got
are you
so
just as
fucking
susceptible?
sick. I got, dude. Okay, so here's a story. I don't think I've ever told this story on air ever. Maybe I have. I don't know. Um, so there was this at the hospital. It was about maybe 2 blocks down from the hospital. There was this little, to call it a restaurant would be um, charitable. It was a little hole in the wall kind of thing called Detente, and it was supposed to be like a bar, I think. And it had like a couple little tables inside, and the lady had a shelf, like just a little tiny shelf that had a few things on it that she would sell, and she would hang out in there. And it was really funny because like we'd go there after working at the hospital for the entire day, and we would all be just like beyond exhausted. I mean, because you're doing like crazy shit all frickin' day, and you're just dead at the end of the day. But at the same time, you're running on so much adrenaline that sleep is difficult. And this little bar, Detente, this lady would have like these warm bottles of beer that she would sell. And so we would all go there, and you're not all of us. There were those of us who did not drink, but some of us would go there and get some beer and hang out. And it was really funny because I would go in there, and the lady who ran the place, the first time I went in, she got super excited, and she went around back and she brought in the fat guy chair, because all of the rest of the furniture was like plastic, like garden chairs. And she dragged in this probably 60-pound angle iron welded thing that is apparently the chair that they keep for people who are larger, which I would qualify as. And like, okay, fine, this is a totally embarrassing honor, but we'll just run with it. Um, and so after we've been doing this for a few weeks, right? And
Right.
it the final day that we were there, we were going to be there. It's actually like the night before we were supposed to leave. I went there with everybody else, and we told the lady that, we're going back, tomorrow. And she's like, well, can you take me with you? And I like, what do you say in a situation like that? Like, obviously, you want to leave. I completely get it. Everything is broken here. But no, I can't. There's no way I could even do that, even if it was a thing that I wanted to do. And so she's like, okay, well, at least I want to cook you dinner. Okay, now for context here, people are, again, like I said a few minutes ago, people are literally dying of starvation, right?
Huh.
So if somebody
Yeah.
wants to offer you food, to decline would be like the height of offense. You
Oh
just
yeah.
can't. Like, if somebody offers you food, you're eating it.
They're offering all they have.
She made me fried chicken, which was delicious, and coleslaw. Now, again, keep in mind that this is a place where they've just had a massive earthquake shatter all of their infrastructure. So water and sewage are literally flowing in the same pipes right now. And refrigeration kind of isn't the thing. And I'm eating something that's made out of mayonnaise and uncooked cabbage. I ate it because I
Right.
didn't see a way out of it. I ended up with bacillary dysentery. I got
Oh.
so incredibly sick. Like, so incredibly sick that the doctors were like, well, can he leave, or do we have to like call the Marines to have him helicoptered back or something?
Oh.
Um, it was terrible. So in these situations, and anytime you're traveling, like, your immunizations and things like that might help you with some things, um, but nature is pretty vile, and it will get you. Um, that,
That sounds like a Gala collectible. The BitBender chicken and
dude, it was
coleslaw.
terrible. I'm curious. I hope that she's doing okay. I mean, this was quite some time ago now, but last time I was in Haiti a couple years ago, and there were still places where there was just piles of rubble in the street after a decade.
Jeez.
And
Yeah.
it's not gotten better, it appears.
Huh. That's that can't be good. I can't even imagine being like thinking about all that going on too, and then be like, here we go. I'm just gonna go ahead and eat this chicken. I know bad things are about to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it was the chicken. I'm pretty sure it was the coleslaw.
The
But
cold,
I mean, yeah, that's
yeah.
the thing though, is that, sometimes in a situation like that, like I was reasonably certain, given the number of doctors I had around me, that whatever it was probably wouldn't kill me. I
Yeah.
was also pretty sure I was gonna get, at the very least, like, I'd have diarrhea or something. It
Yeah,
was
maybe need
so
some
much worse
fluids or
than that.
something.
Yeah, it was so much worse than that. It was terrible. I don't want to tell the story. It has nothing to do with video games. It's highly divergent, but oh my god.
There's a lesson in there somewhere.
Seriously.
So, tell us a little bit about who is Gala? Give us the who, what, when, where.
The who, what, when, where. That's a big question.
Let's throw in why too while we're at it. We'll throw in why.
Well, the why is pretty easy.
Okay.
I think that um, one of the interesting things about Web3, okay, is that Web3 is kind of designed to address some of the systemic inefficiencies that you run into in Web2. And so in Web2, when uh, pay for marketing, okay, let's say you have a game that you'd like to market, some sort of Web2 game. Well, you're going to be paying um, ridiculous amounts in user acquisition to get people into that game. And so kind of the question is, it's like, okay, well, if we're paying, tons and tons of money in advertising, okay, to, Google and Facebook and all of these things, what happens if instead of that, what if we were to give money to the people who tell their friends about us instead? And that was kind of the start, right? Is like using people and using the network effect as a means of promoting the game, and tying a token economy into that. That was the earliest sort of inception of all of this. It started out originally with Eric and I and a couple other people kicking some ideas around, and then eventually going from there to creating the company. I didn't join right away. I joined as employee number 8 a few months later, and it's been going ever since. I mean, we've got as of, hold on, let me see if I go click on this thingy in our Slack right now. Oh man, I rearranged my entire Slack and nothing makes sense anymore. We have 427 people in our Slack right now. A few of those are contractors, but we've got over 400 actual employees of the company right now. So the who, it's a lot of people, and they're all freaking amazing. Yeah. And what was the other question? There was the who, what, when, where, why.
Well, I think the biggest, like Fulio's on the streaming gaming side, and then when I interact with those people, I sometimes have a hard time trying to get them excited about Gala. So if you were to approach somebody on Twitch that was like a big streamer, what could you say to that person to get them to understand what Gala is and how Gala can help them?
Well, okay, so at a core level, okay, one of the things that I think is super important to recognize here is that we make games. Okay, our main focus here is not on creating. It's not like, oh my God, crypto NFTs, yeah, that's the thing. To the moon, PFP bullshit projects. We want to make amazing games. We want to make AAA games, and that's pretty much our primary focus. So in terms of Twitch streamers and things like that, my main personal approach on that is I don't talk about the blockchain side of things at all. I just talk about great games. And so if you were to try to introduce Gala, don't introduce Gala. Introduce a game. Introduce Last Expedition. Okay? Last Expedition, brutally freaking fun. And any Twitch streamer would absolutely love that game. And I think that that's the way to do this, is don't make it about the token. Don't make it about, the NFTs. None of those things are critical. Like, they're not path critical to the sort of game ecosystem as itself, by themselves. What is critical, though, is that you go and play a game and have fun. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I think we're tracking on the same thing there, and I probably come off maybe asking it the wrong way, but to me, so like back in late 21 in November, man, it was just like, it was crazy. Like people were creating like Quack Coin and all these things, and it was pretty wild. Like,
dude, I've been in this
there was a lot of
space for
stuff
like
out there.
10 years. The amount of bullshit, like,
Yeah.
like I even there's been experiments that I've done, and some of them are not completed yet. In, I want to say end of 2016, early 2017, I was going through and looking for community-driven projects that had already been started, and see if there was a way that I could basically like take a project that had been started that had a community behind it and kind of relaunch it and give it life. I spent spent basically everything that my father left me after he passed away trying to do that with the project. Was not successful. Has not. I have not written it off yet, but it is very much backburnered while I work on Gala. But in the
Mm.
process of looking at that,